Hello everybody, it's Andrew John Hunter here back with another video, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach plushies. These plushies have gotten a very mixed reception within the FNaF community. Some like them, but some claim that they're utter crap compared to the previous waves. And while I can see these plushies many problems, for the exception of one, I don't think they're as bad as many people make it out to be. I think these plushies get a bit too much hate. Do they suffer from a couple problems? Yes, they absolutely do. But I don't think they're the worst things to come out of Funko. I think Funko has made worse things over the years. So, and before I start, when is the next episode of Freddy Fazbear Friends going to be? Well, the reason why it's been taking longer is because of scheduling difficulties with some of the voice actors. Well, one of my friends, Hazamaster, was going to record some lines for a character, but because of his schedule, he couldn't make it, and so I had to fill in. And another reason why is also I also made a model for that episode, and I commissioned someone to port it for me, and that model was able to get ported. So the animation on that episode has started. When will it come out though? I have no idea. I just started and I don't have an estimate yet. But for right now, depending on how much I get done, if my job doesn't get in the way, and since I talked about that, I might as well bring that up. I have a job now. I work at one of the Target distribution centers, which I'm really happy about. And my work days are on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I'll still do work on animations when they're in the making, but in terms of making plush videos, that probably won't be, because at the end of the day, I just want to come home, eat dinner, take a shower, and just relax. That out of the way, let's start the plushies with Glamour Freddy. And he doesn't look half bad. He does look like Glamour Freddy from his markings, his colors, and he is pleasant on the eyes. That doesn't mean he's perfect though. And this will plague the rest of the plushies. My biggest problem with the security breach plushies is they feel cheaply made. What I mean by that is there is a lot of printing on this. Then the fabric, for some reason, feels very rough compared to the previous ones. Because Frostbear and even Chocolate Bonnie, like even Spring Bonnie, they carry out the same fabric, while the others, I don't know what it is, but the fabric just feels a bit cheap in comparison. And speaking of cheapness, there is a lot, and I mean a lot of printing on here. And in fact, even his bow tie is printed. Like, come on, Funko. If you can add bows on all of the Freddys, then how come Glamour Freddy doesn't have one? It just felt a bit lazy. However, despite the printing, it is well applied, and it's not very distracting. In fact, it is certainly leagues better than the Dislocation plushies, because when they had printing, it was pretty badly applied, because if you rub the fur against one direction, then you get white. But with some of the more recent ones, a lot of the printing has improved over the years, but unfortunately, it's becoming more apparent with some of the more recent plushies. So, and they did forget a couple of things like his bracelets, and they did forget his shoulder blades, but I understand that, but that probably would have been a pain for Funko to add. Same with his earring. And also, he doesn't have his blue ring. What has ever happened to that? But despite these imperfections, I say Glamour Freddy is decent. Okay, now on to Montgomery Gator, or Monte Gator, and like with Glamour Freddy, he looks nice, but he does feel a bit cheap. And that's probably and also, I think his green might be a bit too bright, because if I remember in some of the promotional art and even the second trailer, his green was a bit darker than this. This feels a bit too bright. And his hair, I kind of wish it had volume to it. It wasn't just a flimsy piece of fabric. They could have done something like they did with Ballora. And like with Glamour Freddy, we have yet again printed colors. And this is definitely not a good sign, because if they did it once, then it's very likely that they'll do it again. Again, I understand that they do that, but it does make the plushies feel inferior compared to the previous ones. But on the other hand, the cosmetics are well applied, and they are accurate to how they looked in the promotional art and in the game. And also his sunglasses and his mark are also well done. But one thing I find really strange is that they gave him his fangs, and I'm glad that they added that, but I feel it's a bit inconsistent compared to Glamour Freddy, because Glamour Freddy has very prominent fangs, but Funko didn't bother adding them. But overall, I like Monte Gator, but I don't love him. Okay, now that we got the guys out of the way, let's move on to the females. With Glamour Chica, and I gotta say, despite the printing, I think she looks the best out of the others. While yes, her base is a bit recycled from Toy Chica, they nailed her design pretty good, from her costumes, her leg patterns, which have this nice metallic look to them, and at least her bow has volume to it. It isn't printed on, because that would have been cheap. But it is strange that her eyelashes or her eyelids are at the bottom, or literally in the middle of her eyes. That's a bit strange. I think it would have been better if they were added right here. Overall, while she's far from perfect, she is better than the other plushies we got from this line. Okay, now on to the last of the group, Roxanne. And she's not as good as Glamour Chica, unfortunately. First of all, she's got these weird metallic fabric on her legs and arms, which stick out like a sore thumb rather than look cool. And once again, we have a lot of printing on here, which isn't bad, but it does make the plushies look cheaper in comparison to the others. And as for her hair, I mean, it does look a bit lazy, but Roxanne's hair is pretty complex, and I think this was the best that they could do. And it doesn't look horrible, but I kind of wish that they would print some strings of hair to make it look more like actual hair. And they did forget basic details like her lipstick. I mean, it's fine. It's glad that she doesn't have that weird tongue thing like the original Fontaine Foxy had, not counting the one from Sister Location, but the one based off of the Fontaine Foxy from FNaF World. But they still could, don't tell me that they couldn't have added her lipstick. Without it, it just makes her face incomplete and look like a knockoff. So, overall, Roxanne isn't bad, but she's nowhere near as good as Glamour Chica. Okay, now let's move on to this monstrosity that's supposed to be Vanny, and wow. You know, when Fontaine Freddy was added to the group, he was the worst plush of the line, but even then, his plushie didn't look horrible. This, on the other hand, this is more than just horrible. This is just stupid looking. Like, this is not Vanny. This is an imposter. First of all, she's got this really, really big head that's puny compared to her body, and her bow tie is so small compared to everything else. I mean, I get that they had to simplify her design to make her look more appealing, but this is just the bare minimum of lazy. Now, I know what some of you are saying in the comments, but Andrew, this is a plushie. It's supposed to be simplified and cute. Well, I understand that she's supposed to be simplified, but I would only be forgiving towards it if the plushie actually looked good. Like, take Springtrap for example. I mean, yes, he doesn't exactly look like Springtrap, but the thing is, he's not supposed to look scary, he's supposed to look cute. But even so, he looks so much better. They didn't forget any of his features, like the one ear full and one ear half, and they even included his grin, and he still had his purple corpse, which is still represented throughout the plushie. Vanny is simplified, but in an off way. Her proportions are off, and what's with this weird discolored ear here and the foot here? I get that's supposed to be her suit, but Vanny never had this. She only had white, gray white, and this pinkish velvet on her legs, which I think should have had printed on fabric, just to get the plushie more detail. And I also kind of wish that she had stitching going through her body, to also get the plushie more depth. And they should have at least given her grin. And yes, if they could do it on Springtrap, then why can't they do it with Vanny? The only good thing they got right were the eyes. But other than that, screw this plushie. So, final verdict, if you're a completist, you're gonna want these plushies. But if you want good looking plushies, then that's completely up to you. While I don't think these plushies are as bad as many people make them out to be, they are very inferior in terms of quality. These plushies just feel rushed. And I think if Funko waited until the second trailer came out, then these plushies could have been so much better. But they feel rushed. In some ways feel like Chinese knockoffs compared to the previous plushies. They are better than the Twisted ones, but worse than the FNaF 6 plushies. Oh, and especially Vanny, because that one is just terrible. So, they're not great plushies, but they're not the worst things to come out of this line. But anyways, I'm going to get going. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Give it a big thumbs up if you liked it. If you liked what you saw, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to share this with your friends. And if you don't want to miss out on future uploads, just click the notification bell next to the subscribe button. And that way, you won't miss out on any future uploads. This is Andrew John 100 signing off, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.